Hi, and welcome to your masterclass. I know you're busy and that your time is valuable, so I want to acknowledge you for choosing to join us today. Now, I also want to be respectful of your time and mine. We have a lot to cover in the next 20 minutes, so with that being said, let's just go ahead and jump in. How to reignite passionate intimacy with your wife and become the uncompromised leader of your family in as little as 8 weeks, without having to beg for sex or attention, and even if you feel like your marriage is on the brink of collapse. This is a step-by-step game plan to transform your marriage from cold and distant to passionate and connected, so you can finally experience the deeply fulfilling relationship that you've always dreamed of. This is for any high-achieving man or driven professional who is struggling with the disconnected marriage and trying to reignite the passion and intimacy they once had with their wife. If you've ever wanted a step-by-step path to become the strong, confident husband your wife craves, and create an unbreakable partnership that fuels your success in every area of life without sacrificing your career or ambitions, then I want you to pay very close attention, because this has the power to totally transform your marriage. What we're going to talk about today is a simple 4-step game plan to reignite passionate intimacy with your wife in as little as 8 weeks, even if you feel like roommates right now. We're going to talk about the real reason why you're struggling with a cold, disconnected marriage, and what you can do today to rebuild trust, rekindle attraction, and restore the deep emotional connection that you crave. We're going to talk about why trying to communicate better is the absolute worst way to fix your marriage, and a radical new approach that works 10 times better than that. And we'll discuss a way to finally become the strong, confident leader your family deserves, with all the respect, admiration, and passionate intimacy that goes along with that. And we're going to talk about the best-kept secret of a successful marriage and an unbreakable partnership that's hiding in plain sight. My promise to you is a start-to-finish game plan to transform your marriage, so you can finally experience the deeply fulfilling relationship you've always dreamed of and join the top 1% of high-achieving husbands in the world. So who am I and why should you listen to me? My name is Ben Rasmussen, and with my wife Annette of 30 years, we are the founders of Thrivano Coaching. After experiencing career burnout, absolute exhaustion, and real apathy, coupled with anxiety, sleepless nights, increasing arguments with my wife, and slowly disconnecting from her, feeling like our marriage might not make it, I knew I'd come to a turning point, not only in my career, but in my marriage too. I had a choice to make: forge ahead and figure it out, or just call it quits. So I chose to lean into adversity rather than run from it, determined to do whatever it takes to keep my family together, be the man I promised my wife I would be, and my family deserved. Over the last 2 decades, I have dedicated myself to exploring relationship, what it is, and understanding my true purpose as a man, separate from my role as a husband, while creating an exceptional marriage with my wife. And over those years, Annette and I have helped other high-achieving men, just like you, overcome the same feelings of uncertainty that I once felt, transform their marriages, activate their authentic masculinity, and reignite passionate intimacy with their wives. And the vast majority of our clients were able to do this, even if they felt like roommates with their wife, even if they hadn't had sex in months, and even if they thought divorce was inevitable. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how they did it, and you can too. But before we get into that, let me quickly check in with you so I can see where you're at. Does this sound like you? Do you sometimes look at your wife and wonder what happened to the passionate woman you fell in love with? Do you feel like no matter what you do, you can't seem to make your wife happy or satisfied? Do you find yourself walking on eggshells around her, afraid that any little thing might just set off another argument? Do you feel more like roommates than lovers, with passion and intimacy becoming only a distant memory that's fading more every day? And most of all, do you lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, terrified that you might be heading straight for a devastating divorce that will destroy everything you've worked so hard to build? Well, if any of that sounds like you, then I actually have good news, because none of those things are the real problem. The real problem is that you don't have a system for becoming the strong, confident husband your wife craves while reigniting passionate intimacy in your marriage. And I'm going to hand you that system right here in this video. But for right now, just know this, that once you have it, You'll wake up every morning feeling deeply connected to your wife, excited to start the day together. You'll effortlessly resolve conflicts and miscommunications with her, strengthening your bond with every interaction that you have. Your wife will look at you with a mix of desire and admiration, eager to follow your lead. You'll experience a level of passion and intimacy that surpasses even the honeymoon phase of your relationship, and you'll have absolute certainty that your marriage is rock solid, providing the foundation for you to take calculated risk in your career and achieve even greater success than you already have. The bottom line, there's a system that will allow you to transform your marriage from cold and distant to passionate and connected without having to beg for sex or attention, and even if you feel like your marriage is on the brink of collapse. With this system, everything works. Without it, nothing works. And that means that everything you've been feeling, all the frustration, all that loneliness, or all the thoughts that maybe you're just not cut out for marriage, none of that is your fault. You just didn't have a system, and now you will. So real quick, before we get into that system and how it works, I want to quickly talk with you about what not to do, because if you're like most high-achieving men, there are 3 huge mistakes that you're probably making, and you may not realize it right now, but those mistakes are destroying any chance that you have of creating the deeply fulfilling marriage you desire. And I can virtually guarantee you're making at least one of these mistakes, if not all 3 of them. Number 1 is trying to fix your wife. Number 2 is withdrawing and focusing solely on your career. And number 3 is trying to communicate better. Let's look at each one of these a little closer. The first mistake, trying to fix your wife. This approach completely misses the real issues in your marriage every single time. It puts all the blame on your wife, absolving you of any responsibility, which we know is nonsense, right? And it creates resentment and pushes your wife further away from you, which is the last thing you want. Here's why this is dumb. Trying to fix your wife will lead you directly to a cold, resentful marriage where your wife sees you as an enemy rather than a partner that she can share her life with. Here's the truth. There's a better way to transform your marriage without trying to change or control your wife, and I'll talk about what that looks like in just a minute. The second mistake I see men make is withdrawing emotionally and focusing solely on their career. Now look, you might be thinking that if you just make more money or achieve more success, right, your wife will be happier and your marriage will just take care of itself. It'll improve. But doing this is a recipe for disaster, and here's why. It creates emotional distance and makes your wife feel more neglected. It doesn't address the real issues, what's really going on in your marriage, and it can actually lead to resentment when your wife feels less important than your work. When you withdraw and focus solely on your career, you might achieve great professional success, and that's good, but you'll come home to an empty house on a cold bed. Your wife will feel like a single parent because she'll be handling all the emotional labor of the family, your kids, while you're absent. Over time, this leads to a complete breakdown of intimacy and connection between you two, potentially pushing your wife into the arms of someone else who makes her feel seen and appreciated. Do you see why that's so destructive when you're trying to create a deeply fulfilling marriage? What you need to do instead is learn how to balance your ambition with presence and emotional availability. And I'll walk you through how to do that in just a second. The third mistake is relying solely on better communication to fix your marriage. Now, while communication is important, simply trying to talk things out more often doesn't address the root cause of marital dissatisfaction. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a broken bone. It might cover up what's going on the surface, but it doesn't heal the underlying problem. Endless conversations about your feelings can actually make things a lot worse. It can make you appear weak and indecisive in your wife's eyes, diminishing her attraction and respect for you. It puts the burden of relationship success on your wife's shoulders again, expecting her to guide you through emotional terrain that you should be navigating yourself. What you need to do instead is to use an approach that combines powerful, masculine communication with decisive action and emotional mastery, without endlessly rehashing the same issues or appearing needy and insecure. The bottom line, all of these strategies are outdated. They're really ineffective and downright destructive to your marriage. So if that stuff doesn't work, then what does? And that brings me to the system that I mentioned earlier. There are 4 steps as a high-achieving man you must make to reignite passion and intimacy with your wife and restoke the fires of success in your marriage while continuing to thrive in your career and all other areas of your life. And it works every time like clockwork. So let me walk you through it right now. It's called the Exceptional Man Method, and it contains these 4 critical steps that you must make. Number 1, reclaim your authentic masculine power and reignite how you think about everything, especially your wife and relationship. Second, master emotional leadership and optimize your experience in your marriage. Third, ignite primal attraction so your wife is truly excited and can't help herself from wanting to be with you. And fourth, create an unshakable and magnetic partnership by being immovable in your commitments. Let's look at each one of these a little closer. The first step to transforming your marriage is to reclaim your authentic masculine power. Now, this isn't about dominating your wife or being an alpha male. It's about reconnecting with your core masculine essence, your strength, your purpose, and direction. When you embody these qualities, you naturally become more attractive and inspiring to your wife by creating polarity that is essential in relationship. Opposites attract, right? This step is crucial because it addresses the root cause of so many marriage problems and what's really going on. A man who has lost touch with his masculine core. And when that happens, your wife is left trying to make up for the things you used to bring to the table, like courage, safety, and a person she can count on emotionally. By reclaiming your power, you avoid the pitfalls of trying to fix your wife, and instead, you get to focus on being the man she can't help but be attracted to. Here's how this works. First, you identify and eliminate any behaviors or beliefs that are diminishing your masculine presence in your relationship. Then you reconnect with your core values and life mission, separate from your role as a husband. And then you just start making decisions and taking action from this place of inner strength and certainty. This is so much smarter than trying to please your wife or fix her problems because it allows you to lead your marriage with confidence and direction without becoming controlling or domineering. When you do this right, you'll feel a surge of confidence and purpose that radiates through every aspect of your life. Your wife will start looking at you with a newfound respect and admiration, even if she doesn't agree with every decision that you make. You'll find yourself naturally taking charge in situations where you used to hesitate or just let things happen instead of making things happen. And you'll feel a deep sense of personal fulfillment knowing that you're showing up as the man you've always wanted to be. This is how you go from feeling powerless in your marriage to becoming a strong, confident leader. When you have a strong sense of your authentic masculine power, then and only then will you have a solid foundation to transform your marriage. Do you see why this makes so much more sense than trying to fix your wife? The second step is you need to master emotional leadership. This is about developing the ability to stay calm and centered in the face of your wife's emotions without shutting down or getting overwhelmed. It's a skill that allows you to guide your wife and relationship through storms and conflicts, to lead through adversity rather than just succumb to it, always keeping sight of the bigger picture instead of playing small and coming from a place of what's in it for me. This step is important because it addresses the tendency that many men have to either withdraw emotionally or get caught up in the moment, reacting to circumstances rather than being proactive and driven by their masculine purpose. By mastering emotional leadership, you create a safe space for your wife to fully express herself and share herself with you while you remain grounded. This way, you can navigate conflicts with grace, deepen your emotional connection, and guide your relationship to new and exciting heights without becoming emotionally distant or overly reactive. Does that make sense? Here's why this works. Women are deeply attracted to men who can remain strong and steady in the face of intense, emotional situations. And this means that you have a massive opportunity to create deep intimacy and trust in a different way with your wife than most couples are used to or will ever experience, without endless talking, without trying to fix everything, without walking on eggshells around her, and even if you've struggled with emotional expression in the past. When you do this right, your wife feels safe to fully be herself with you. Conflicts become opportunities for growth rather than just sources of resentment, and you develop an unshakable bond that can weather any storm. Do you see why this is so much more powerful than trying to create a deeply fulfilling marriage the way everyone else is doing it? Once that's done, the next step is to ignite primal attraction. And this is powerful for so many reasons. It's a true expression of your authenticity as a man. It allows you to show up as the passionate, desire-worthy man that your wife needs most. And you get to skip over all the awkward attempts at seduction and just go straight to raw, magnetic attraction. You see, right now, if you're like most men, then you believe that romance is about grand gestures, doing things, taking big vacations. And that desire fades naturally over time. And if you keep seeing it that way, it leads straight to a sexless marriage full of frustration and resentment. So instead, we focus on igniting primal attraction. And here's how this works. You cultivate masculine polarity in your interactions with your wife. You master the art of subtle, continuous seduction, which is a superpower when it's done right, and you create an environment of sexual anticipation and tension that's palpable. Right now, what your wife really needs is to feel deeply desired by a man, you, who is unapologetically sexual and confident. And igniting primal attraction allows you to meet that need without being needy or pushy, and without turning sex into a transaction. Over time, this creates a passionate, erotically charged atmosphere in your marriage. Do you see how that works? And then finally, once all that is done, you need to create an unshakable partnership by combining your reclaimed, authentic masculine power, emotional leadership, and reignited attraction. You create a partnership that is built on mutual respect, deep trust, and shared purpose. This isn't just about having a good or great marriage. It's about creating a powerhouse team that supports and enhances every aspect of your life. Now, it's really important that you execute this correctly. You need to align your values and vision as a couple. Make choices together that honor both of your needs and consistently invest in the growth of your relationship. And when you've done that, you're on the shortest path towards a marriage that's not just surviving, but truly thriving. Does that make sense? When everything is said and done, you'll feel deeply connected to your masculine core, radiating confidence and purpose. You'll be able to easily navigate even the most intense emotional situations with your wife. Your relationship with your wife will transform because of the primal attraction you've reignited. You'll wake up every day feeling energized and excited about your partnership. Your marriage will become a source of strength and inspiration for every other area of your life, and you'll have created a legacy of love and leadership that will positively impact your family for generations to come. Here's the secret that's hiding in plain sight. It is in our nature to respond to changes in our environment. It's in our DNA. When we sense danger or instability, or in contrast, we sense safety or stability in our relationship, we respond physically and have an emotional experience that matches the environment we find ourselves in, whether that's an argument with your wife or making love. We react, and since that's true, that means we can also do the opposite and make a choice. We can change our environment completely to have a different experience with no guarantee that it will last, or we can change one thing in our environment and create the experience we want to have every day. Simply put, you are part of your wife's environment, she is part of yours, and each of you are having emotional experiences right now about each other. So if you and her are the constants in your relationship, no matter where you find yourselves, then you can make a choice to up-level your being, that is to say, change who you are being in your relationship. And that means you have the power to create lasting change for both of you starting today. So what's the best kept secret? It's be first. Shift from doing things to have something and be someone in the distant future that may never happen, to being first, to have and create that future you dream about right now. The bottom line, once you have this, you'll have a start-to-finish system from going from a disconnected, frustrated husband to a strong, confident leader of your household in as little as 8 weeks. Do you see how powerful this is? Like I said, everything that you've been feeling, all the frustration, all that loneliness, the fear that maybe you're just not cut out for marriage, none of that is your fault. You just didn't have a system. But now that you know this, you owe it to yourself, your wife, and your family to start using this system to transform your marriage and start feeling deeply fulfilled in your relationship starting today. So now you have a choice. You can keep on struggling in a cold, disconnected marriage, dealing with constant arguments with your wife, a non-existent sex life, and the gnawing fear that you're heading for divorce. Or if you want to reignite passionate intimacy with your wife, become the strong, confident leader your family craves, create an unbreakable partnership that fuels your success in every area of life, experience the deeply fulfilling marriage that you've always dreamed of, activate your authentic masculine power, and claim your place among the top 1% of high-achieving husbands in the world, then here's what I have for you. My team and I have set aside some time in the next 24 to 48 hours to speak to you personally about how you can apply this system to achieve the marriage of your dreams starting today. Here's how this works. We'll get on a call for about 45 minutes with you, and you can tell me everything you're struggling with and everything that's not working in your marriage right now. And on this call, we'll put our heads together and come up with a step-by-step game plan for you to completely overcome the disconnection in your marriage, reignite passionate intimacy with your wife, and become the uncompromised leader of your household faster than you ever thought possible. And if you want my help to implement that game plan so you start seeing progress right away, we can talk about how to make that happen. If not, that's fine too. Either way, my goal for this call is to show you what your exact next steps should be to transform your marriage and become the husband you've always wanted to be without sacrificing your ambitions, compromising your values, or becoming the man you don't want to be. And by the way, this is not for everyone. I have 2 very strict requirements you must meet in order to be eligible for this free session. Number 1, you must be a high-achieving man who is committed to excellence in all areas of life and willing to do whatever it takes to transform your marriage. If that's not you, then please exit this page right now. And number 2, you must be serious about creating a deeply fulfilling marriage and willing to invest what it takes to make that happen. I've helped men just like you transform their marriages, but it takes an investment in yourself to make that happen. And if you're not willing to do that, then I can't help you. But if you are a driven, successful man and you're committed to excellence and willing to do whatever it takes to transform your marriage, and you're serious about creating a deeply fulfilling relationship, and you're willing to invest what it takes to make that happen, then click the button under this video and schedule your free breakthrough session now. In just a few short weeks from now, you could be waking up next to a wife who looks at you with a mixture of desire and admiration again, feeling deeply connected and passionately in love, knowing that you've created an unshakable partnership that will last a lifetime, and that you are the strong, confident, and inspiring leader you were always meant to be. Don't wait. Book that call now. I'm Ben Rasmussen, and let's talk soon.